Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the launch of the report on 1.5-degree lifestyles towards a fair consumption space for all. My name's Andrew Sims. I co-direct or coordinate a project called the Rapid Transition Alliance that works with hot or cool, and run a think tank called the New Weather Institute. I'll be your moderator for the day, although given the scale of the problems that we're facing, I almost feel as if I should be the alarmer. People always say that we're terribly alarmist in this movement, but when you look at the figures, things are really alarming. So I shall sort of moderate this alarming subject. We have a very packed 1 hour with lots and lots of content and lots of interaction. So we're looking forward to your questions, and I hope you're looking forward to the presentations. We think that one of the missing ingredients in this whole debate has been imagination. That has been our failure to visualize the scale of the change needed to achieve 1.5-degree lifestyles, and perhaps also a failure to imagine the possibility of that change actually happen, which is one of the reasons why the Rapid Transition Alliance is so happy working with Hot or Cool, because Hot or Cool very much has been doing the first, and we've been doing the second, which is a kind of a teamwork thing going on. We've got a joint mission to help visualize the change that's needed and to take perhaps the sting out of the fear of achieving that change. Now, this report is different to the first 1.5 degrees report, which was a groundbreaking publication. It's expanded. It looks at 10 countries, all in the G20, apart from Finland. It goes into more detail on the policies about how it can be used and what policies are needed for the kind of lifestyle change that the report is looking at. It also has scenarios for all these countries taking us from now to 2030. It's incredibly important that we stop thinking about change which is going to be happening from 2030 to 2050 and what is actually needed to happen right now. Now, the first report was incredibly influential. It was the springboard for other initiatives like the Cambridge Commission. It's been picked up by everyone from UNEP to the EU and the C40 Cities initiative. Just a word on how things are going to happen today. Please use the chat function to introduce yourself. We have hashtags. No self-respecting launch is without hashtags these days, and our hashtags for the day are fair consumption and 1.5. That is 1 the number, point the word, and 5 the number. With that, I am going to take up no more time at all and move directly to introduce Sandrine Dixson-Declève, who is co-president of the Club of Rome, who also wrote the foreword to this report. She's holds several advisory positions for the European Commission, including chair of the expert group on economic and societal impact of research and innovation. So with that, over to you, Sandrine.
Thank you so much, Marcus, and also Andrew and everyone else, Johan and Lewis, that are here today launching this incredible report with us today. I would like to first start by reminding everyone that actually a lot of this discussion already started in 1972 with the limits to growth. And I just want to read something that I think is absolutely fundamental when we talk about systems change and lifestyle change, which was already said and pronounced in 1972 by Donella Meadows. People don't need enormous cars. They need admiration and respect. They don't need a constant stream of new clothes. They need to feel that others consider them to be attractive, and they need excitement and variety and beauty. They don't need electronic entertainment. They need something interesting to occupy their minds and emotions, and so forth. Basically, what Donella was already saying then is we needed to place a value on what was most fundamental. And we needed to start to shift from consumption of material things, thinking that that was going to make us feel good, that that was going to bring us the wealth that we needed to be prosperous and our livelihoods. And I think this is incredibly important as we go through this report and we think through this post-COVID era that we are now in, that we address where we actually are in terms of that very fundamental thinking already in 1972. We have a series of global tipping points, the social system, and in fact, Johan will talk about the planetary boundaries and our environmental tipping points, but we now know, and in particular at the Club of Rome, we're very concerned about the social tipping points, the social systems that are actually deteriorating before our eyes. And we saw the tension again through COVID. the political system and the polarization and distrust, the economic system, which does not place a value on what matters most, that actually continues to value brown rather than green, that doesn't bring in, again, the need to protect our lives and livelihoods as the primary focus of what decision makers should be doing, mass unemployment, and you bring that into a global commons deterioration, the pandemic, the climate tipping points. And so what we're seeing is that this is the moment. And in fact, the new models that have come out already stress testing the limits to growth model have just shown recently that the 2020 predictions of collapse already in the limits to growth are here. So what does that mean? This will be the fastest economic transition in history. We need to shift to zero carbon, zero loss of nature, zero poverty, and zero pandemics. In our planetary emergency plan, we already started to think through, what do we need in terms of creating a just and equitable society? What do we need in terms of transforming our energy systems? We know we have to pull out of fossil energy, and we need to triple renewables and energy efficiency and low carbon technology investments. We have to internalize our externalities, and we need to ensure that we put in place the taxation systems that, again, place a value on the shifts that we need within our economic and financial systems. So I'm going to finish with what we're starting to do now, which is with Johan and others at Potsdam Institute and Norwegian Business School. We've decided that it's fundamental that we bring a project through modeling 5 pathways to decision makers' attention. We call these the turnarounds. What do we need to do to deal with population growth? How can we empower people in order to ensure that they actually are truly living positive lives and livelihoods? How do we address inequality? How do we address poverty? And then how do we look at 2 key systems which are fundamental for our survival: energy and food, and the interrelationships between all of those together. And if we look at that within some key economic system shifts, moving towards a well-being economy that takes into consideration shifting from GDP to economic, social, and environmental indicators together within the planetary boundaries, as so well explained through our member Kate Raworth's donuts, then we know that we can create the alternative future that we need. We've got well-being economies that are starting to move in this direction. We have local economic shifts that are happening at the local level, more towards the donut. And what this report is telling us is that actually what we need to do now as citizens, as people, is shift our lifestyles to truly create and enhance this change towards alternative futures. So I'll leave it at that. I think this report is fundamental in terms of setting the tone of what we can all do together and truly meet a 1.5 degree lifestyle.